this week's video. This week we'll be talking about the elements and a little bit about the signs. Now, I'm going to be focusing more on earth, fire, air, and water. But I'm going to get the spirit out of the way. So, spirit is less often talked about, but it is part of the whole pentacle, and it's used in various spiritual beliefs, including Buddhism, and is attached and tied to the Akashic records. It is attached, or correlated rather, to the crown chakra, and colors are like white and violet and things of that nature. It is not anything to do with our form as human, as in our emotions, our personality, and all of that, as the other elements that I will talk about are, and it is more obviously on our intuitive, psychic, and spiritual level. Now, for today, we are going to be talking about the elements and a tiny bit about the signs, just because it correlates to the elements. Within various forms of witchcraft, we do obviously use the elements in various things, and in astrology, the elements are also obviously a huge part of it, especially when we're talking about the cycle of the moon, and when we're talking about our sign in general. And we also need to keep in mind that, let's say, for example, I'm a Taurus sun, and all of my planets do not include every sign, but we all have every sign within us and can call upon the correspondence to each sign, and we can obviously work with each sign. Now, I know a lot of you are like, duh. But again, this is a Witchcraft 101 beginners thing for people that are just getting interested or just starting to really dive into it and have dabble. So, first we're going to talk about the earth element. I'm going to preface by saying that I'm going to include a little bit of Carl Jung's whole cognitive functioning aspect, which is thinking, sensing, feeling, and intuition. So now with earth, this is your sensing aspect of your being. So the earth element is about stability, fertility, sustaining. It provides foundation for us. Earth is our home. It's connected to Gaia, and it grounds us. It helps us with money, travel, career, abundance in general, work, as I said, food and shelter, and just growth as people. Helps us to accept responsibility and bring our attention to our own limitations. So if you're really connected to the earth element or you're using it, you probably are being very self-actualizing and sensing what needs to be worked on and growing on within yourself. People that are earth people or are very connected to the earth element tend to be very attached to family or friends that they feel are family, and a lot of stability within that. Even though if an earth person or somebody that uses a lot of earth energy is an empath and grabs in a lot of toxic energy and toxic people, it does put them off balance, and that's where their shadow side does come on. If you don't know what the shadow side is, I'd recommend watching my shadow work video, which is about an introduction from the Carl Jung's perspective with a little bit of paganism. I will be talking more about shadow work in the future. The direction is north for Earth, but when we are in our shadow side, we become very stuck and stagnant. Very overly cautious, a lot of anxiety, over anxiety ridden. Earth is also attached to winter, and these signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Earth is also, well, I totally forgot about rebirth, which kind of goes along with what I said. A lot of things that people that are very in tune with the earth element or using that element for magic purposes will use gardening, meditation, mindfulness, things that are very grounding and allows them to sense and feel. Earth and water are the feminine elements, so earth is mainly attached to Gaia as an element. We'll break down the signs later on at the end of the video, but it is also associated with Pan. Hi, Minnie. Next is the air element. The element of air is associated with the thinking part of the cognitive functions that every person has. Again, we all have all these elements within us, and if you do circles as a pagan, you do have like each element, and it's best to know what each element actually represents. So anyways, the air element is the realm of the mind. It's about thinking, mental activity. They like to learn and spread information, which can cause them to come off as a little bit of arrogant or over the top and some judgmental, but that's not necessarily what they're trying to be. If the person is using the air element in the positive aspects, it's just that's how they are. For example, I have Gemini as my Mars and Mercury, so for what Mars and Mercury represent, which will be a different video, it makes sense that get very much into debating, and I like to talk about information. Like, my videos are very much about are very informative, educational type videos, not very much about entertainment. And that's just how they are. They might be into social media, they might be into writing or speaking, teaching, but when their shadow side comes out, or they're overdoing their air, they can either be in a fantasy world, or they can become detached and abstract and scatterbrained and flighty, which of course makes sense, air elements. So as you can see with all the elements we've talked about thus far, the positive and the negatives are obviously the opposite of each other. So, and again, people are like probably like, duh, but again, this is for beginners, so shush. So their direction is east. They're attached to spring, and the signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And some of the deities attached to them, this is a masculine sign, are Thoth, Hermes, and Mercury. So on to fire. So fire is associated with the intuition, cognitive function, and they are the south, and they of course are associated with summer, fire. They're very dynamic, they're very passionate, they're very forceful energy. They can be positive and uplifting if the fire element is being used for a positive. The flames of the fire element can also be used for cleansing and transformation. So if you are trying to go through a spiritual journey or a growth within your life, using the fire element is probably your best bet. When somebody who uses their fire element aspects is using it for the positive, they are really good at figuring out intuitively who and what is toxic for them and cleansing and cutting it out. They're very motivated, and they just overall have a very fighting type energy, which can be used for good. It's that passion and that light and that warmth, and it's very fueling. Their energy can become overwhelming at times. They tend to be very charming and charismatic people that try and live life to the fullest and just have fun. And being around somebody that's filled with fire elements can also lift you up, just being around them. It's like an antidote for anxiety, depression, and any stress. They just can be fun. But of course, there is the downside. What if they're out of balance and their shadow side is showing? Well, then it's again the opposite. They become reckless, arrogant, forgetful, just self-destructive, destructive to others, over-daring. They can even become to the point where their energy is so low and they're so burnt out because they did not find a way to ground that fire energy, and they overused it, and they become a lack of motivation. Some of the deities associated with this masculine element are Lu and Apollo. On to water, the water element. There's a lot of stereotypes associated with the signs that are part of the water element. Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, which all have some relation to something to do with emotions. Cancers are over emotional. Pisces are just all over the place with their emotions. You never know where they're going to be. Scorpios are just over the top in general. So it's safe to say, yes, water is the element associated with the realm of emotions. If we go back to cognitive functions, they are the feelings. They again are another intuitive, empathetic, and inner knowing one. Of course, this is when it's being used in the positive and bringing it out. They are also associated with ancestral memory and going into the depths of the psyche. So you may want to call upon that water part of you for that. As well as the collective unconsciousness. Being another feminine element, such as earth, they also are associated with fertility. They are west and they are autumn. They also represent purification and healing and emotional release, and removes all that is stagnant. I don't know about you, but when, for example, the new moon or the full moon is in Cancer, for example, maybe it's just that I have my rising sign's Cancer and my Lilith is, but I get very emotional, and I get very much about like my family ancestral stuff. But I mean, my sun and moon are both earth, and then my rising is water, so that might be it. I don't know what it is, but I tend to have during my rituals some cleansing emotional break during those moons. Just saying me. Okay. People that have a lot of water energy into them or are very connected to the water element are very healing and caring professions, and a lot of them become very spiritual, and they're overly sensitive, as I talked about with the stereotypes. And yeah, they can be somewhat spontaneous when it comes to getting into relationships. And yeah. But of course there is the negative when they go into their shadow or they are too much in tune with it. So the negative side is they can become emotionally distant. They can become emotionally burnt out. They can have a problem expressing themselves or doing it wrong. For example, some Scorpios have this stereotype that they can become very aggressive and overly sexual, to where it's almost aggressive, and that can be when they're out of balance. Yeah, they tend to be sexual beings, Scorpios, but if they're out of balance, they can become a little aggressive. Even though this element is very much associated with psychic work and mediumship, if they do get out of balance and are attached to their shadow, they can become blocked to all of that. So they can become very depressed and even smothering. With Cancer and Pisces, you'll see that a lot with emotion, and Scorpios can do that too, where they just become smothering and possessive. Scorpios are known for possessiveness. That's one of their stereotypes. Now on to the... Oh, wait, they're deities. Why was I going to forget that? Neptune and Epona. Or Eponia. I've heard it pronounced very different. So the modes. We can't really talk about the elements or the signs without getting into the modes. There's various aspects to all of this. This is kind of more of a beginners to astrology, but not really, because that's going to be a separate video, and now I go on rambling. Anyways, so there's cardinal, fixed, and mutable, and these are decided upon what point in the season a person is born or when a sign takes place. For example, if you're talking about the moons or the various types of astrological cycles. So cardinal signs are the beginning of the season. They're kind of the gateway to the new journey, to the new chapter. They're outgoing, spontaneous leaders. When they're out of balance or expressing their shadow side, they can be impulsive, rash, or headstrong. These signs are associated with the solstices and equinox. So Aries is spring equinox, or other known as Ostara. So Cancer is associated with the summer solstice, other known as Litha. Libra is the autumn equinox, other known as one of my favorites, which is Mabon. And then Capricorn is associated with Yule, or the winter solstice. So these are a side note. When you're thinking of your own zodiac or any planet or whatever part of your chart, birth chart, or when you're working with a certain sign in a different phase, etc., it's good to look at the modes and the element, because putting those together helps you understand why a sign might be different than the other signs within that element. So now on to the fixed. So the fixed is at the midpoint of this season. They are the heart. They are the stability, the commitment, the sustaining aspect. But when they are expressing their shadow, they can be rigid, stubborn, and unable to see other perspectives outside themselves, as well as what's right in front of them. And they're associated with old Celtic festivals, or as some call them, cross quarter days. So Scorpio has Samhain, and Leo has Lammas, and Taurus has Beltane. And then the mutable are the bridge from one season to the next, and they are more fluid and versatile and flexible, and they aren't associated with any Sabbath celebrations, astrological timings, cross quarter days, any of that. However, because they are fluid and mutable signs, they are shapeshifters. For example, Sagittarius is a centaur, so it's half animal, half human. And then Gemini and Virgo are associated with the planet Mercury, which is the Roman version of Hermes, who is a shapeshifter and is attached to the world of the dead as well as the world of the mortal. So there's all of that. And then Pisces is just connected to the collective unconscious within this world. So again, they're shifting from one to the other. So these signs are shapeshifters. They are not fixed. They are not the main points. These are just very fluid signs, which then again, when they end up being out of balance or expressing their shadow, they're scatterbrained. They have problems with commitment. They can be inconsistent, which makes total sense logically when you're talking about something that's fluid. So to end this video, I'm going to try and do this as fast as possible. And I'm going to give you some basics on each of the signs. Basically, their correspondences. So Aries is March 19th and through April 20th. It is associated with Ostara. They are fire elements. They have the first house. They are cardinal mode. Their planet is Mars. Colors are red and green. So if you're thinking of making an altar or using candles, their goddesses that they can be associated with are Freya and the Morrigan. Crystals tend to be red stones, such as like bloodstones, garnet, but they also are associated with clear quartz. Some essential oils are clove and cinnamon and ginger and bergamot and cardamom. And the parts of the body that they're associated with are the head and the face. So Taurus is April 20th until May 20th. It is the second house. It is an earth element, of course. It is fixed mode. The planet is Venus. The Sabbath is Beltane. Colors, emerald green, pink, earth colors. So like even browns and jades, turquoises, things like that. The crystals are rose quartz, rhodonite. Oh, that's my onyx. Rhodonite. Smoky quartz, emerald, and green calcite. Essential oils are sandalwood, ylang ylang, jasmine, vetiver, and rose. Parts of the body are throat and neck. And then goddesses they're associated with are, of course, Aphrodite and Venus, as well as Gaia and Lakshmi. Okay, so Gemini is May 21st until June 20th. They are associated with being between Beltane and the summer solstice. Again, they are a fluid, mutable sign. They are Mercury. They are the third house. Their element is air. The colors are yellow and orange. The crystals associated with them are apatite, kyanite, tanzanite, blue lace agate. Essential oils, bergamot, basil, vetiver, lavender. Parts of the bodies are the hands and the arms and the nervous system. And goddesses are Psyche, Sarasvati. Cancer is June 21st until July 22nd. It is the summer solstice, aka Litha. It's the fourth house. It's associated with water. It's cardinal, and the planet is the moon. Colors are like the blues, the aquas, the sea greens, grays, silvers, even white. And oils are sage, lavender, chamomile, sandalwood, ylang ylang. Crystals, moonstones, and watermelon, tourmaline, selenite. Parts of the body is the womb, stomach, and any female reproductive system or the breasts. And some goddesses are Danu, Demeter, and Rhea. So Leo, July 23rd till August 22nd. The Sabbath is Lammas. It's the fifth house. The element is fire. It's a fixed sign. The planet is sun. And crystals are citrine, carnelian, ruby, sunstone, tiger's eye. Essential oils are cinnamon, frankincense, nutmeg, orange, lemon, and ginger. Parts of the body are the heart, the spine, and the upper back. The colors are golds, yellows, oranges, and ambers, and browns. And then some goddesses are Rhiannon, Bastet, who I did my last video on, and the Morrigan. So Virgo is August 23rd until September 22nd, and it again is a transitional one, so there's no Sabbath or anything like that because it's immutable, and its planet is Mercury, and its element is Earth, and the house is the 6th. Crystals are Amazonites. Why can't I talk? You know what I'm saying. Ugh, I need more coffee, y'all. Jasper, peridot, purified wood. Colors are green, white, brown, gray, and gold. Essential oils are frankincense, peppermint, eucalyptus, and the parts of the body is the digestive system and the nervous system. And then some goddesses associated are Vesta, Hestia, and Frigg. Libra. So Libra, September 23rd until October 22nd. It is associated with Mabon, the autumn equinox. It is air. It is a cardinal sign. Its planet is Venus, and the house is the 7th. Colors can be like indigos and pinks, blues, purples, sky blue. Crystals can be fluorites and what else? Selenites and calcites. Oils are sage, geranium, rose, so like rose geranium essential oil would be perfect, frankincense, and basil. Parts of the body is kidneys, and some goddesses are Aphrodite, Venus, Lakshmi, Juno. I would also say that for a Libra, you can also use Persephone and Demeter as well if you are doing Mabon work during that time, but also using the Libra energy. So I'm just saying. Scorpio is October 23rd until November 21st, and obviously the Sabbath associated with them is Samhain, and they are the 8th house. They are a water element. They are fixed. Their planet is Mars. Some will say Pluto, but it's typically been Mars. Crystals are lapis lazuli, labradorite, moldavite, and obsidian. And the essential oils are frankincense, myrrh, cedar, and patchouli. Parts of the body, the sexual reproductive organs, of course, with Scorpio. And some goddesses are Inanna, the Morrigan, Kali, Persephone, Hecate, and Ishtar. Capricorn, December 22nd to January 20. What I was going to change the 21st. January 19th. And it is associated with Yule, or the winter solstice, or what the Christians like to call Christmas. I had to throw that joke in there. Oh my god. Their element is the earth. They are the 10th house. They are cardinal. Their planet is Saturn. And essential oils are pine, vetiver, ginger, cypress, oak moss. Basically very tree scents. Oh, and cinnamon. Parts of the body are knees, joints, skeletal system, and the crystals smoky quartz, jade, hematite, black tourmaline, and aventurine. And then colors are white, silver, black, and then back to those earth tones like I talked about with the Taurus, with like the jades and the browns, things like that. Goddess correspondence for Capricorn are, use my brain, Tiffany, Baby, Yaga, and Hecate. Aquarius. So January 20th until February 19th, you are associated with Imbolc. And your house is the 11th. You are air. You are fixed. Your planet is Saturn. Some say Uranus. Whatever. It's Saturn. I'm just kidding. But typically it is Saturn. But again, it goes back to that whole, there's different astrological theories. Your crystals are celestite, kunzite, and sugarlight. And your essential oils are cypress, lavender, and peppermint. And you are associated with the ankles and the circulatory system. And your goddesses, my Lilith. Mom, was it Aquarius? My mom's an Aquarius. Taking my Lilith? I'm just kidding. And Bridget and Athena. Ooh, my aunt would not like that. Who's a Cancer? She likes Athena. I'm getting goofy up in here. I need more coffee. And finally, Pisces. Mr. Kurt Cobain. Astrological dates are February 19th through March 20th. And again, you are immutable. So you don't get a special day. No, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just kidding around. You're water and you're the 12th house. Typically, again, your planet is Jupiter, but some like to say it's Neptune. It's up to debate. Your crystals: amethyst, opal, pink tourmaline, essential oils: sandalwood, lemon balm, jasmine, lang lang, lotus. Parts of the body: feet and the lymph nodes and the lymphatic system. Colors: lavender, pastel colors, a green, a mint green, lilac, soft. I said soft good. It's just pastel, lighter colors. And goddesses associated with you: Persephone again, white Tara. Some people say Tara. And yeah, that's all I got for you today. This was a much longer video than I thought. Thought I had enough caffeine in me, but apparently not. So this is my beginners to the elements and a little bit on the signs. Well, I guess it was more than just a little bit, but the correspondence to the signs. If you like this video, please like and please subscribe if you have not yet done so. And please check out my shop. Sign up for my newsletter. I send a bunch of information on things that are going on astrologically, as well as different goddess things, and then deals with tarot readings or products. And I will have a video out for you next week. I'm assuming I'm going to be doing a goddess one, but I can't promise you that because I might put that off a little longer till we get closer to Maybon. So, with that said, I love you all, and I hope you enjoyed this video, even though I was kind of out of it. I love you all, and blessed be. See you next week. Mwah.